Welcome to a Zoom call-ins episode of Reader Seeks Romance Channel's Romance Roundup, the #1 romance book recs talk show. I am Liz Donatelli.
I'm Libby K, author of the sweet romance series Buckeye Falls.
Libby and I are talking to our callers about their new and upcoming romance releases and their romance book recs.
Oh yes, I love romance.
Watch Romance Roundup on Reader Seeks Romance Channel and subscribe on YouTube. Listen to Romance Roundup on PodBean and all podcast apps. Viewers and listeners can email us at readerseeksromance@yahoo.com. And follow us on Instagram at LibbyKAuthor and at Reader Seeks Romance. Well, welcome. Thank you for calling in. You're the first caller of tonight.
My name's Pyae Moe Thet War. I was previously a nonfiction writer. I wrote an essay collection called You've Changed that came out in 2022. And my debut novel, which is a romance novel called I Did Something Bad, is coming out this year, next month, actually, in October. And it's about this journalist and a movie star who, so the journalist is called Kin, and she's assigned to write a cover story on this actor named Tyler, who's this like really big Hollywood actor who's come home to Myanmar to shoot his latest movie. And if Kin can get a scoop on Tyler, she has a permanent position waiting for her at Vogue Singapore. But then on the first night of shooting on the movie set, Kin is stalked by a stranger. And then Tyler steps in, and then they accidentally murder the guy. And then the book is them A, trying to cover up what happened, and B, trying to figure out who was targeted, which it looks like she was, and if so, why. So it's a romance, and it's also like, if you like, crime, mystery, I think you'll really like this one too.
You are speaking my language, because one of my favorite things is crime and romance. So putting them together. Thank you so much, Pyae, because you are, oh my God.
One of my biggest inspirations was Dial A for Aunties by Jessica Sutanto.
I was immediately thinking of Dial A for Aunties. And I feel like that this should be like a new subgenre of like murder romance. Like, because it's like murder that brings, well, the murder brings this couple together, right? Because they have to figure their way out of it. So I feel like, I don't know, like, is it categorized like on your end as like a dark rom-com, or is it, romance mystery?
I would say it's not particularly dark. I would say like romance mystery, or like romance action. I was also inspired by, I think we're seeing an influx in movies as well, in rom-coms like The Fall Guy, or I've like used these as comps, and now I'm just blanking, but I think there are like a lot of movies now, rom-coms, where it's like action and romance mashups. And I agree that I think there are a lot of books now that are also doing a similar thing, which I mean, those are like, I also love like crime, mystery, and romance. So I'm always a fan of like books or movies that like bring those together. Basically, I wanted to write a rom-com, but with murder. Because I think murder's like fun, but like on the page, although I went through like a lot of like questionable Google searches when I was researching for the book.
You have to clear all the history out of the cops are going to show up.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm thinking this would be called murder rom-com. Maybe that should be the new subgenre.
I like it.
Yeah, I think that, well, it is so. It is so. I created it.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. There
That's
you go.
what it is.
It's a rom-com. There has to be at least one dead body. And I think that's a great subgenre.
Yeah.
It's not the hero or the heroine.
I love it. I love it. Now, have you read anything recently that you would recommend that people pick up? Any romances?
I was just looking at my list. So I'm currently finishing up The Pairing by Casey McQuiston. I love Casey. I think they're just an incredible writer. But before that, I had read Cross the Line by Simone Soltani, which is a Formula One romance. I'm really into F1. It's between this F1 driver, male F1 driver, and the heroine is his best friend's sister that he hires to be his social media manager. And it's great. It's really fun. It's called Cross the Line.
Ooh,
Awesome.
that sounds fun like that. And I feel like we're getting different sports romances coming out. So it's nice to see something different.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you said you started writing nonfiction. Do you plan to keep writing romance or fiction, or do you think you'll kind of toggle back and forth between the two?
For the time being, the plan is to keep writing fiction, keep writing romance. My next book is it's publishing is so weird because you're always thinking like one book ahead. But my next book is coming out next summer. It's called Here for a Good Time. Yeah, and so I'm right now the plan is definitely to keep writing more romance, but I'd also be open to either going back to nonfiction or trying other subgenres within. But for now I'm a romance girl.
Awesome.
So now is book 2 also going to be a murder rom-com? Is there going to be murder in this too?
There's no murder, but it is it's another like action rom-com. It's a genre mix-up. I mean, I can give you the summary for it now. It's basically these two best friends. The heroine she's this really huge breakout author, and she's got a huge case of writer's block for her second book. And so she books an island getaway for her and her like best friend who's the guy. And, it's supposed to be like this island getaway, like for her to get inspiration and a change of scenery. But then on like one of their first nights on the island, the whole island is taken over by a group of armed women. And so they escape, but they accidentally unmask one of the intruders. And so now they're trying to get off this island while being chased down. So it's like if you're into like action romance stuff, that's another one.
That sounds really exciting. So when you said writer's block for book 2, is this like semi-autobiographical?
Absolutely. I'm just sitting there. I remember when I was writing this and the heroine, she would have blocks of like, I'm never writing another book again. And it was basically just like train of thought of what I was thinking.
I didn't want to call you out, but I thought there might
that's totally fair.
I liked that you mentioned a group of armed women, because we're used to hearing about groups of armed men. So I'm already intrigued as to why, like, what's going on that there's a group of really pissed off women with weapons.
Part of me as the author was like, girl power, like women can be villains too.
Very motivational.
So I'm curious about the spice level for I Did Something Bad. Would you say it's closed door? Is it somewhat descriptive? Is it steamy?
It's not like super steamy. My second book is definitely steamier. There are scenes like I'm trying to think of how to say without spoiling anything, but it's not like super steamy. Like if it was like a rate like 5, I would say maybe 2, maybe 2.5. Like there's definitely a lot of like flirting and tension, but in terms of like actual sex scenes, it's not super spicy. You can accidentally like, I don't know, disconnect your headphones while listening to the audiobook and you'll be okay.
That's the perfect description for the spice level. Basically. You wouldn't be mortified if your headbuds
exactly.
I like that it is low steam. It drives me crazy when I read like a romantic suspense and it's like you guys are running for your lives and you're stopping for a very in-depth sexual encounter. So the fact that this means that this is actually going to be like adventurous and there's romance, but it's reasonable because they're not having these orgies, every time they reach their next destination. So actually, I'm glad to hear that. It sounds like it's got the right balance for the type of book it is.
Thank you. And you saying that just reminded me, I had forgotten this, but I did, because I read a lot of romance novels and I do like spice in my books, but I remember when I first drafted this, I really wanted it to be spicy, but like for the reasons you just listed, I was like, there's nowhere I can actually fit in like a plausible sex scene. So it was like, I was like, damn it, this one isn't going to be as spicy as I wanted it to be.
Right. But thank you for not shoehorning thank you for not shoehorning gratuitous sex, just to have it in there. Pyae, you are a delight. And we both wish you success with
Yes.
I Did Something Bad.
Thank you both for having me. I'm honestly such a fan of this series, especially. So I was so delighted that you invited me. Thank you both.
Thank you very much for making time, and we'll keep our eye on you.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Absolutely. Reach out anytime. I'd love to talk to you two again.
Awesome.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Lots of luck to you. Bye, Pyae.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Hello. Is this Emma Claire Sunday?
Yes. Hi.
How are
Hello.
you?
Great. I'm so excited to be here.
Thanks for joining us.
Emma Claire, you have a sapphic Regency romance, The Duke's Sister and I, and this is your debut, correct?
It is. And as of today, when we're recording, it actually came out yesterday. So it's like brand new.
Oh,
That's
yay,
right.
congratulations.
Congratulations. That's fantastic. So did you do anything special yesterday?
I mean, the most exciting part was just walking across the street to my local Barnes and Noble and seeing it there, like on the shelf.
Awesome.
And which was surreal because for the past like year, I go every month to see, the new Harlequins because they're there every month.
Yeah.
And so there's been this buildup of like, this will be my name soon. And then I just received so much like support and love from people. Like I got texts all day from friends and family.
Aww.
Like I went to my bookstore and I found it and I got photos. My sister who lives in Los Angeles, like called me when she got to the bookstore. And so I really just like got to receive a lot of love and support yesterday.
I love everything about that. That's wonderful.
Can you share what The Duke's Sister and I is about?
Yes. So The Duke's Sister and I, it's a sapphic regency, which means it's like Bridgerton vibes, but gay, but written before Bridgerton went there itself. And I play with a couple tropes.
Ooh.
So I play with the rake trope by putting a female character in that role. That's Charlotte. She's the Duke's sister. And she's a baddie, right? She's slept around a little bit and is very independent minded, very like emotionally unavailable, very self-confident. And then the other main character is Loretta, who is also kind of fills the traditional archetypical role of who would be paired with a duke, right? So someone who's more like inexperienced, somebody who doesn't really know what they want, and somebody who is very much trying to fit themselves in a box and fit those societal pressures. So she gets paired up with Charlotte's brother, the Duke, as a potential match, and they're courting, and Charlotte is chaperoning on all of these trips. And that was the initial pitch made to Harlequin, right? Was that's the inciting incident, is they spend time together on these dates, and she falls for the chaperone instead of the man she's supposed to be dating. And so
I love this already. I'm so excited.
Yeah, and they just go on dates, and then Charlotte introduces Loretta to a gay club called the Fourth Tier, which it's in the basement of a theater, a 3-tiered theater. And I did a lot of research into like underground queer culture for this book, because there fully were gay clubs just in the city of London. And so back in the 1820s, they were called Molly houses. Most of the ones that we have documentation of, it's primarily men, right? So these were men's gay clubs. But the tricky thing about doing historical research for underground queer culture is a lot of the records we have come from police reports and court transcripts. And so there's a bias there, a bias that's negative. And so we don't have a lot of evidence of like the joy that was happening in these places. Compared to, we have piles and piles of evidence that are just written by police and by lawyers. And we also know that men were far more criminalized for queer behavior. So if there were women at these clubs, it would have been a lot easier for them to sneak out and not get caught and kind of pass under the law. So what I try to do in the book is kind of fill in those gaps and imagine, like, what if there was a space where men and women were both being queer. And what happened, because the only places we know about were the places that got caught, the places that got raided. We'll never know about the places that that successfully did not get caught by the police. And so I tried to imagine one of those places. And so a lot of the love story takes place in community. A lot of the romance involves friends and family and navigating those relationships.
Now, is The Duke's Sister and I a standalone, or is this book one in what will be a series?
Yeah, so The Duke's Sister and I is a standalone officially, in part because it's published as part of the Romance Includes You mentorship program. So I won a contest with Harlequin, and that's how I got my foot in the door. And every year they have an anonymous submission contest where they're specifically looking for marginalized voices in their characters and the authors. And so you just pitch the one book. The second book that I am working on is not a sequel, but does take place in the same universe. So there are like cameos and like little bits where if you read Duke's Sister and I first, it'll be rewarding. But it also stands on its own. That's actually, I have here, this is my word count tracker.
I wondered if that's what that was, but I didn't want to call you out.
Every time I do 500 words, I get to color in a box. So right now, I haven't updated it, but I'm at 42,000 words.
Do you ever do that, Libby, where you color in boxes for every how many?
No, but I like the idea of it being more rewarding and enjoyable than me just sitting there like, that'll do for today.
It feels so good at the end of the day when I get to color in what I've done. It's such a wonderful feeling.
Are you a Virgo? Are you a Virgo, Emma Claire? Because that's a Virgo thing to do.
No, I'm actually a Scorpio.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Scorpios, they could be very detail oriented like that. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm married to one, and I will. That is accurate.
So am I. So am I. Tom is a Scorpio too. Emma Claire, are there any romances that you read recently that you'd like to recommend to our listeners and viewers?
Oh yeah, the most recent romance that I read was All the Painted Stars by Emma Denny.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Emma Denny is an author in the UK who writes for Harlequin, and she wrote One Night in Heartswood, and then the sequel, All the Painted Stars, just came out. And so fantastic. It's medieval era, which I love. I'm really hoping to write there next. And just fantastic world building, really like brings you into like the time period. And I think excellent characterization, like so moving, so emotional. So anything by Emma Denny, that's what I've been reading, and that's what I recommend.
To me, medieval is the closest I will get to reading fantasy. See, so fantasy to me always takes place in a world that looks like medieval times.
It does, yeah.
For some reason, I don't know why fantasy takes place in these medieval alternate universes. But when I watch fantasies, that's what I like the most usually is the whole medieval, you know, environment and clothing and speech and all that. To me, reading medieval romance is like reading fantasy. Yeah. Oh, did something happen?
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you froze there for like
a moment.
Just a second or two.
I wonder if it's the weather.
It's a little stormy on our end of town.
Fucking Ohio. You don't live in Ohio, do you, Emma Claire?
No, I'm in New Jersey. We're fine right now.
Oh, okay. You're in Jersey. I'm originally from New York. I will say nothing about New Jersey. I like you anyway.
I feel like Ohio and New Jersey are two of the states that get the most shit talked.
Yes, I agree.
So I have some respect for Ohio. Like I get you.
Thank you. But at least we pump our own gas.
Yeah.
I will never live somewhere where I have to pump my own gas. I love staying in the car when it's cold and snowing outside.
That's true. That's true.
You haven't lived until you filled up your gas tank in the middle of a snowstorm.
I am fine with that.
Well, Emma Claire, it's been a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you for making time.
Thanks for having me.
It was so nice meeting you.
Yes, absolutely. And I plan to read your work even though you live in New Jersey.
Thank you. The book itself does not take place in New Jersey. So you can pretend.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And then anybody who anyone who wants to keep up, the Duke sister and I, it's out now wherever you get books. You can find my website. It's just emmaclairesunday.com, all just one string of text. And you can find me on Instagram at author.ec.sunday.
Thank you so much, Emma Claire. Take care and happy writing.
Thank you. That's what I'll be doing next.
Congratulations.
Bye. Thank you.
So we have Lauren Appelbaum in the Zoom room. Nice to chat with you. Thank you for joining us. Lauren, did you call to tell us how much you love us?
Yeah.
I did actually. I'm a big fan, so
Oh, thanks.
Don't lie to us, Lauren.
Yeah.
So Lauren, I understand that you have a romance out that you would well, actually, I think it's coming out. It's not out yet, right?
it came out yesterday.
It came out
Oh,
yesterday. I knew that.
congratulations. I'm a week behind.
Well,
Thank you.
happy release to you. Jesus. That does not sound good. Happy release. Happy book birthday to you.
Thank you.
So this is how long it takes 3 guests in for me to totally lose it. Okay. Libby, you've got to kick off the conversation with the question you asked me before Lauren got on the call.
So I'm dying to know, Lauren, is this in any way based on Rachel Weisz, the actress, or is that just a coincident character name?
That is just a coincidence.
Okay.
Some people don't like it when I say this, but I did not know about Rachel Weisz, the actress, until very late in the process. I don't know. Maybe I've been living under a rock.
Okay. So
Okay.
could you please share with everyone the title of your romance, your newly released romance, and tell us what it's about? Because we know it's not about the actor.
Not about Rachel Weisz, the actor. It's called Rachel Weisz's Group Chat. And it is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice and Bridget Jones's Diary. It's about Rachel Weisz in the year she turns 30. And it follows her through kind of her group chat with her 3 best friends. Rachel is not where she thought she would be when she turns 30. She's in kind of a job that she hates in tech support. And her mom is constantly trying to fix her up with Mr. Right. And when Mr. Right turns out to be a tech CEO who bought the house next door to her parents, it kind of drives Rachel crazy, but eventually she has to confront her prejudices to see him for who he might really be.
We both love Pride and Prejudice, and I'm assuming Liz also loves Bridget Jones's Diary. That's one of my favorite books and movies from did the book come out in the 90s or the aughts? I just remember the movie.
I think it's the 90s.
The 90s. Either way, love both.
Yeah. I love Pride and Prejudice. I'm okay with Bridget Jones.
Really? I probably watch it at least once a year. It's like a comfort movie for me.
Me too.
Okay. Well, you have me hooked on the Pride and Prejudice. The Prejudice. Pride and Prejudice. So I only half like this is basically what I'm saying.
Oh no.
I'm joking. So should I assume that there are a lot of group chat portions in the book? So kind of like epistolary to some degree, where there's people talking on their group chat?
There are. Yeah. It's not like the whole book, but there's like little sections of it, which maybe I can show you a little bit. Just kind of
like, that's great.
They're short, and they're kind of throughout the book.
No, I like that. I've noticed that trend I like including text messages. It's like a nice way to, I don't know, I hate to say break up the story. Like I can't read a book with words and no pictures, but you know what I mean.
I like anything epistolary, anything where there's notes being written in whatever fashion, because I feel like that's really where you get to know people, because, they don't have to be as self-conscious. They could write. It's just like it's going right from their head and their hearts right into the paper. For good or for bad, because then if you don't have a filter, then you're revealing too much. But I always think that's a great way to learn about characters, what's truly going on, upstairs and in their heart, downstairs, and what's going on downstairs.
And speaking of downstairs, what's the spice level on this book, Lauren?
That has to be the best segue ever on the show.
Thank you.
Amazing segue. I would say 0 chili peppers, because it's closed door.
Okay, cool. No, I like it all spice levels, including no spice. So I like it.
Is there some sexual tension? Not that they're sexting or anything, but is there a sexual tension that exists in this story that wasn't in Pride and Prejudice?
Yeah, I tried to put in some, tension and yearning and sexual chemistry.
Great.
So hopefully that does come through. And, it's the 21st century, so it's a little bit more than just like the brushing of the hands that you find in Jane Austen.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but I do love a good hand brush.
Don't we all?
There's so many jokes I could make because
I know.
a hand brush, I can say what? Like, you like a good hand brush, like what? Across the face? Like, what are we talking about? The way you said it was like, I like a good one. Not to put pressure on, but do you have a second book in any stage of development at this point, or?
I do. I have one that is coming out next year, and it's another romantic comedy. We just decided on the title like this Monday. I can't tell you yet, but I'm excited that we have a title now.
That's
so
awesome.
Yeah, it's we're editing it currently.
Is it sort of another retelling or Jane Austen adjacent book, or is it something different? Okay.
It's something different. And I can give you a short pitch if you want.
Oh yeah, please pitch away.
Yes. And before you do, please tell me that the title has Daniel Craig in it.
Yeah.
To match.
I get that joke now.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I took a chance that you fully got up to speed.
Give us your pitch.
So yeah, my second book is about a remote worker here in Seattle who she's an introvert. She never really leaves her home because she doesn't have to. And she inherits a beach cottage in Florida when her grandmother passes away, under the condition that she has to also take care of her grandfather if she wants the house. So she eventually has to go down there, get to know her grandpa, and of course there is a love story in there as well.
Oh, I love that. I like that angle because usually, and I don't mean to be weird, but usually when people inherit a house, it's empty. I like that there's like a family dynamic there.
Yes.
So Libby is known on the show as liking books with characters who are unhoused. And they have to do something to, like, they fall in love in pursuit of a house.
There's
or
like a
shelter.
landlord dynamic or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just love that stuff.
I like it.
So I think this is right up Libby's Libby's lane.
Libby's lane.
Oh boy. Oh my God, where did Libby go? So being Libby has left us. We're in Ohio. Actually, Libby and I live about 40 minutes from each other, and it's been storming. So I don't know if on her end, I don't know, a tree might have gone through her apartment building. I don't know. But I will, I'll check in with her, make sure everything's okay. But Lauren, it has been a delight getting to know you and your work. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye.
Bye.
Yay, hello.
Hi.
Sharon.
Sorry about that.
Yay.
No worries at all.
Oh, no problem. I love your glasses, by the way.
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
know-
Actually, I was just going to say, I love your earrings. Are they watermelon slices?
Yeah, they're a little nod to the book. So
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Well, that's a good segue. So we have Sharon M. Peterson in the Zoom room. Do-Over. Now, that just came out or it's coming out?
well, it was just released as trade paperback yesterday. But it's
Ooh.
actually been out for 2 years with Bookature. And then Grand Central came and swooped it up and gave it a print run. So it's like a
Okay.
second release. So it's kind of fun.
Ooh,
that's awesome.
congratulations. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
thank you. Yeah,
So-
I'm
so-
excited.
So tell us how watermelon plays into the story.
There's probably my favorite scene in the whole book involves the main character Percy is just, she kind of has a momster for a mom, and she just always feels like she's the failure and she's the daughter that doesn't do anything right. And it's her birthday and she shows up, and her mother has invited her ex-boyfriend who dumped her on the radio, and it's just very awkward, and mom makes all of these comments, and she just loses it a little bit and goes into the bathroom and strips off all of her Spanx and then throws them on the meatballs. But she's wearing a shirt with a little watermelon on them. So that's where it came from.
I wasn't
I love the
expecting.
description of taking off your Spanx and throwing them on the meatball.
Actually, it was Meatloaf, because I keep saying Spanx on the Meatloaf is definitely my band song,
Yeah.
band name. So I actually was watching your the one you posted yesterday about where you got into the discussion about is it a romance or not, and I was like, oh no, if they've read mine, because it's definitely, this one does lean more towards women's fiction.
Okay.
But
Which is fine. We read everything.
okay, good. So I
love-
kind of say it's like Bridget Jones, but set in Texas with a single dad next door, a sassy grandmother, and an emotional support fish.
Ooh, an emotional support fish. I love it. That's different. I like it.
Oh my, what kind of fish? A tropical fish? A goldfish?
He's a beta. He's a beta fish.
Oh,
Oh.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The strong silent type, you know.
yeah. They're the ones that fight their own reflection, right?
Yeah, I think
Oh
so.
my
Yeah.
God, yeah.
That's my kind of emotional support.
I have to say real quick, it was not lost on me that the protagonist is listening to the radio and gets broken up with over the radio. I feel like listening to the radio at all is a very Gen X thing to do. I don't know if you're a Gen X or not, but I
am
immediately felt kind of like connected to the story just because she was listening to the radio. And I'm like, nobody really listens to the radio, even in, like, at least not talk radio, even in a dentist office anymore.
No, and the reason I got that idea is because yes, I'm a Gen Xer, but my dentist would listen to like a soft rock station, like on an actual radio while she worked on my teeth, and I think that's where the idea came from.
Okay,
but I don't even know. I don't even know if you can call in remote. I have no idea.
I have no idea.
The radio anymore.
Yeah.
So, and the do-over, the grandmother is like everyone's favorite character. She's really funny and just way out there and doesn't care what anybody thinks about her. So every chapter starts with one of her sayings. So, and those always tend to be people's favorite things.
Can you read one of the grandma's words of wisdom? Can you just pick a random one?
Let's see. One day you'll need to be a bigger person. Eat all the cake you can now to prepare yourself. When life gives you lemons, give them back and ask for grapes. You can make wine with grapes.
Nice.
Things like that.
What would you say the heat level is?
I write closed doors, so it's pretty low heat level, just kissing mostly. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm more there for the calm, I think, and the romance part of it more so than I read all spice levels, but that's just my comfort level when I'm writing.
Yeah,
so I totally get that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you have a certain trope that you like to write more than another, or one that you want to write coming up that you haven't done yet?
I do love friends to lovers. I love that slow burn, and I really loved the brother's best friend trope a lot when I was writing that, because I just love when they have all that history behind them.
Yeah.
That it's easy for them to fall in love without realizing it.
Yeah.
And so that's always a big one for me. I haven't done an enemies to lovers yet, so that might be coming up. Yeah. So that's kind of where I am. I haven't worked out these two characters quite yet in my head. I'm not an outliner, so I think about them a lot before I start writing. And yeah.
Now, you mentioned that the do-over is more women's fiction-y. Is there a trope that you use in the do-over?
Yes, there's a fake dating trope in here. So it starts out with Percy getting dumped by her boyfriend on the radio while she's getting a cavity filled at the dentist.
Right.
And just kind of go. And it's on New Year's Eve. So her best friend Matthias comes over and he says, we're going to eat snacks and drink wine and just forget about him. And he gets this idea to make up New Year's anti-resolutions. So things like, I will not try to lose weight. I will not try to be more confident. I will not try to be good at my job or be the best at my job, or, things like that. And so there are 5 of them. And so that kind of starts it for her. And it follows a whole year, actually. And so her life kind of changes in unexpected ways as she goes through it. And it's really kind of a love letter. I didn't mean to do this when I wrote this, but it's kind of a love letter to just loving yourself and who you are and what you are right now at this moment, and how you don't have to make big changes or make these huge changes to be a better person. You are you, and that's okay. And so that's kind of a big lesson she learns. But again, I didn't set out to make it to write that. I don't know what I set out to write. I started with those anti-resolutions. Like I was having a conversation with a friend, and we started talking about how no one ever, follows their resolutions ever. And what would it be? What's a resolution I wouldn't fail at? And I was like, I can try not to lose weight. I can definitely keep that one. So, yeah.
Well, your work sounds like a hoot.
Yes, I'm very excited.
You are hilarious, Sharon. Just chatting with you. So if even a little bit of that translate to the page, then what a treat.
Oh,
you had me at Spanx and Meatloaf.
Spanx and Meatloaf. That's got to be the title of a future. Like, you have to run with that. Run with the Spanx and Meatloaf. Thank you so much for joining us, Sharon. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And
anytime. Absolutely delightful. It was so nice meeting you. Oh, thanks.
Bye. And that's our roundup. Thank you to our call-in guests, romance authors, Pyae Moe Thet War, Emma Claire Sunday, Lauren Appelbaum, and Sharon M. Peterson. Watch Romance Roundup on Reader Seeks Romance channel and subscribe on YouTube. Listen to Romance Roundup on PodBean and all podcast apps. Thanks for joining us, romance readers.
Happy reading, everyone.